The best smartphone in the world and for the world is finally coming to the USA, but something just doesn't feel quite right about it. This is the new Fairphone 6, and normally here on Jerry Rig Everything, we durability test a smartphone before taking it apart. But this particular smartphone is designed to be taken apart, designed to be repaired, and designed to be upgraded, with 8 years of security updates and a 5-year warranty. On paper, it sounds like this modular Fairphone 6 is the solution to all the world's problems, but there's a catch, for at least the people who live in the USA, and we'll get to that more in a minute. On the backside, there is a subtle recess near the lower edge, kind of interesting, and right above that there are 2 prominent T5 screws, which conceal the user replaceable battery that's also screwed in with 5 more of the same T5 screws. The battery of the Fairphone 6 can be replaced in about 2 minutes by anyone with that Torx 5 screwdriver bit. It's not quite as repairable as the Fairphone 5 from 2 years ago though, which didn't need a screwdriver at all to swap the battery. The Torx screws kinda mess with the whole vibe that the phone used to have. Now, there are modular accessories for the back panel. These all have Braille on the box, and since I'm a huge fan of accessibility, thumbs up for that. The accessories include a credit card module, or finger loop module, or even some beefy screws for a lanyard strap or your labubus. Now, while I am disappointed that the Fairphone 6 is less repairable than the Fairphone 5, it's not the main reason that I'm disappointed. The reason I'm disappointed is because in Europe, this phone costs an extremely reasonable 599 euros, or about 700 bucks. The battery is 4,315 milliamp hours, by the way, and there's a little circular white water damage indicator at the top of the battery slot. However, getting back to the price of the phone, the only way to officially get the Fairphone 6 in the USA is to pay a third-party company called Morena $900, $200 more than the rest of the world, which doesn't have all that great of a flavor. There are 8 more silver T5 screws holding in the front display panel, which is all you'll need to remove and replace the screen, which does bring back some of my happiness. For reference, these replacement parts are already available in Europe. The battery is 40 euros and the screen is 90 euros. Very reasonable. And with even an amateur level of screwing abilities, the screen of the Fairphone 6 can be replaced in about 5 minutes. But again, no replacement parts are yet available through Morena here in the USA, which again makes me wonder why they released the phone here in the first place, since spare parts are kinda the whole shtick. I am told the spare parts are coming later in August of 2025, but based on the pricing of the phone, they will probably be far more expensive here in the USA than over in Europe. The 5 black T5 screws hold in the lower plastics. This replacement piece costs 25 euros, and he comes up with the small circular coin-style vibrator motor, as well as the lower loudspeaker, which does not have any balls inside. There is, however, an incredibly modular USB-C 2.0 port that can charge at 30 watts. There's a black rubber ring around the port which helps with the IP55 water-resistant rating, since protection is always a good thing. There are 6 more T5 screws up in the top plastics. With those gone, we get our first look at the motherboard, and its little Easter egg, which I'll get to in a second. The top plastics come away with their NFC coil. There is no wireless charging. We also find that one of the 3 camera rings on the back isn't actually a camera. It's a 3D time-of-flight depth sensor, which is fine. Apple uses these types of sensors as well with their own cameras. The Easter egg on the motherboard looks kind of like an actual egg that's been broken on the motherboard. But in reality, this tattoo is actually a physical location, only visible, of course, to the people who tear down their phones or who are subscribed here to my channel. It's a map of the DRC, the Democratic Republic of the Congo, and Fairphone is the country immortalized on their motherboard to highlight its commitment to sourcing minerals responsibly, since the DRC is where we get a lot of our cobalt, copper, and lithium. The main camera is a 50 megapixel unit, which does have optical image stabilization. The camera right above that is a 13 megapixel ultra-wide, which does not have OIS, but that's normal among the ultra-wide cameras. And if we grab the front-facing camera, unsnapping it like a little Lego, we can find the 32 megapixel does not have any OIS either. There is, however, a modular stereo earpiece speaker, which has the waterproofing mesh over the opening to help protect the speaker internals. And for 99% of everyone else on the planet, this is where they would stop normal repairs and end the teardown. However, we aren't regular people, so we're gonna keep on going to see what kind of cooling system the Fairphone 6 is working with. Super cool that each of the signal wires are color-coded on the motherboard. We've never seen that before. And also, I almost forgot, we do have the SIM card tray down here at the bottom, which, and this is true, doubles as an expandable storage tray. You can expand the storage of the Fairphone 6 up to 2 terabytes. The motherboard does not have any screws of its own, just pulls right up and out of the frame. It's using recycled tin and copper and getting its other metals and minerals from verified conflict-free mining areas, like their name, Fairphone, implies. It looks like the thermal solution is just some soft thermal foam on the back that pulls heat from the motherboard and transfers it to the aluminum midframe. There's also some graphite on the screen side of the frame, and hopefully it can all survive the full reassembly and durability test. And yeah, of course I get it, the world doesn't revolve around the USA, but having to pay an extra $200 kind of puts the Fairphone 6 and its current specs outside of a logical grasp, for someone in the USA anyway. One company that does have the logical savings of your wallet in mind though, and actually gives away its services for free for 90 days, is today's sponsor Bitdefender. With new AI scam text messages and AI videos currently taking advantage of your grandparents, online scamming has turned into a very effective trillion-dollar industry. Scams delivered by text message are the most popular these days, and I even get those messages on my own personal phone. One way to fight back is with Bitdefender. They've been a global leader in cybersecurity for the last 2 decades, which means they're good at catching these scams no matter what country they emanate from. Bitdefender has also added a new protective layer for your digital life called Scam Copilot. It's a new AI-powered sidekick that detects and fights sophisticated online email and texting scams in real time, and it's free for 90 days with the link in the description. You can even send the Copilot screenshots of text messages that you think might be scams, and the Scam Copilot can let you or your parents know what's safe. A smart person such as yourself might understand the difference between phishing and phishing, but for sure your parents or grandparents might not. With Bitdefender, you can now protect your family and your future inheritance on 5 devices at the same time. You don't have to take my word for it though. Bitdefender is already delivering protection to millions of customers and businesses worldwide, and it works on iPhones, Androids, and of course your computers. It also gets you unlimited VPN traffic, a password manager, and identity protection. I'll leave a link in the description for your free 90 days of Bitdefender Premium Security subscription, and thanks to Bitdefender for sponsoring this video. One thing we should talk about is the bright yellow button on the side of the Fairphone 6. It's actually a slider that instantly turns your smartphone into a dumb phone, and honestly I think this is pretty awesome. The first step to overcoming an addiction is distancing yourself from what you're addicted to, and I think every phone should come with one of these touch grasp buttons. With it all fully assembled and every screw put back into place, including the 8 screws around the edge of the screen and the 2 visible screws on the back panel, the phone should, in theory, be just as strong now as the day it was born, both of which are today, all since it's designed to be taken apart. Now, keep in mind that everywhere else in the world, this is a mid-range phone with a nearly mid-range price point, but here in the USA, it's a mid-range phone with a near flagship price point, which completely changes the vibe. You can see the variable refresh rate on the 120Hz screen. It's not visible to the naked eye, of course, but those 10 Hz start showing up at 60 FPS, which is what my main camera is filming with. The Gorilla Glass 7i we see still scratches at a level 6, with deeper grooves at a level 7. The sides of the phone are rather thick and made from plastic, but thicker phones do not bother me in the slightest, so it's not a big deal. We have our power button over here, as well as the yellow plastic programmable Fairphone moment switch. Up at the top there is a small noise-canceling microphone hole, but no antenna line since the whole phone is plastic. The earpiece slit is a tad wider than a razor, but the grill itself won't ever be falling out on its own. The left side of the phone, besides just being plastic, has volume buttons that do come out from the frame. Now, I don't think this will ever happen on accident, but it is worth knowing, especially since the buttons don't really want to go back in their home once they come out. Samsung's buttons click back in pretty quick. I also noticed here that everything on the screen has a weird green tint to it, which is an interesting theme for the phone to ship with. Going into the menu and getting rid of that hue though brought the screen back to a normal color gradient. Anyway, the bottom of the phone has that SIM and SD card tray, along with a USB-C 2.0 port, which again, when you have the same specs as an iPhone, you know you're at least 3 years behind. Most Android flagships are using USB 3.2, which transfers data 10 times faster. But the Fairphone is modular, so maybe they can supply an upgraded port in the future. Now, I'm not the biggest fan of Torx screws being the standard screw on a so-called repairable smartphone. I do agree that Torx are better. As you can see from my orthographic projection, they have 6 points, which give them more gripping ability than a 4-pronged Phillips, and they're less likely to strip or cam out. But they are also less common, which means people might not have these screwdriver bits just laying around that they could use for repairs. And I'm not quite sure the less common bit size is worth the trade-off. Both camera lenses and the time of flight circle are protected with glass, but the rest of everything else on the back is made from plastic. The screen, as we saw earlier, is a 6.3-inch LTPO with 1 billion colors, 1400 nits, and 120 Hz variable refresh rate, and lasted about 35 seconds under the heat from my lighter, and the OLED mostly recovered. Finally, the bin test. Even with the thick aluminum midframe and screws up the wazoo, the Fairphone 6 does have some flex when bent from the back, and even more flex when bent from the front. Those 2 rear screws are holding on for dear life. No 2 screws have ever done more work in the history of smartphones. But thanks to those 2 specifically putting in overtime, the Fairphone 6 lives to see another day. I don't know if it's the US tariffs, the middlemen involved, or if Fairphone just doesn't like shipping internationally, but it's a bummer we can't have those lower prices on this side of the pond. But congrats to the rest of the world though, you got a winner with this one. Thanks a ton for watching, I'll see you around.